given the thousands. Casino vodka cup champions.
Hello and welcome to episode 45 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself Paul. Joining us tonight on the show we have United Ireland John, we have Michael Dundee from our forum. Our forum to the podcast is celticrumours.co.uk, where we have numerous Celtic supporters discussing everything about Celtic. If you wish to join, check it out, it's celticrumours.co.uk. On today's show we'll take a look at the latest gospel news around Celtic. We will look at the match reaction from last night's Europa League qualifier win against AZ Alkmaar. We will do the players rating and we will discuss why we're giving our player that score. New right back, new left back, new striker looks like to be on their way to Celtic. Will Ralston be replaced by the incoming signings, or does he deserve to be on new right back? Ange is surely overseeing all the Celtic signings at the moment, and we will look ahead to the weekend's game against St Mirren. Firstly, Mark will do a few shout-outs.
Thank you very much, Paul. Just the usual shout-outs to Tim Alloy, Richie, AGG, Malika and Young Ben. Just let's get the show on the road, bud.
I think Celtic have agreed a deal of £2.5 million for Greek international attacker Georgios Giorgakis. Reports are reporting that the Dutch side Vinyl have accepted Celtic's bid for the player and the deal could be imminent. Celtic have turned down multiple bids from Leeds for young right back Matthew Anderson. Celtic don't want to be losing any youngster at this moment and are holding firm and rejecting any bid that Leeds United are offering. Lega Rosa president has said in Polish media and newspapers this morning that no deal has been signed for right back Josip Jarfic. 2.5 million has been reportedly been agreed through media source, but he's adamant that no deal has been accepted and no deal has been signed at the moment. Josip will was supposed to be playing his final game for Lega tonight in the Europa League qualifier, and that his move to Scotland would be done in during the weekend, but he has refuted these suggestions and said that Josip is still a Lega player. Another player who will be playing his last game before his move to Celtic is Irish international Liam Scales. Liam Scales will play his last game for Shamrock Rovers tonight, and he will supposedly make his move to Celtic over the weekend, in which a deal of 600,000 has been agreed between Celtic and Shamrock Rovers, which is an Irish international fee for any Irish League of Ireland player. All eyes will be on these two matches as Celtic fans will be watching closely to make sure that their incoming signings avoid injuries during these games. That's it for tonight's Gospel News. Mark, we now bring our guests on. We have Michael and we have John fronting. Mark, that's you, what? I suppose, Mark, what I sent you that message about Jarosek that the president came out, and it was actually Vonica translated for me, and he came out and he said it's not done. This deal isn't done. It's not signed. It's not done. It's not done and dusted yet, Mark, is what the media is saying, I think.
And you've got to believe them, really, haven't you? Because they're quite open about their transfers in that Poland and places. Their presidents, chairmen, whatever. If their players on the move, they'll they kind of come out and tell you this
Yeah.
on the move.
And I looked up their official website, like, and there's nothing on it about a farewell mark or anything. But I think the deal will be done, Mark. Maybe he's just not.
Maybe just dotting the T's and crossing the I's.
I suppose he doesn't want to be saying it's a done deal, Mark, in case anything did go belly up.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
But that's John and Mikey on. Can you hear us, lads?
I can hear you, mate. I can hear you.
Thanks for coming on again, John.
Anyways, thanks a lot for having us on, mate.
Oh, no bother. You there?
And
yeah, I'm here, mate.
Mikey was interested about
Mikey.
About the Greek lad. You'll have to pronounce it for us, bud.
Sorry, Giannis Giacomakis.
Giacomakis.
Yep.
You said someone mentioned on the podcast, and I said it definitely wasn't me because I wouldn't have been able to pronounce it. But I looked through all my notes of previous podcasts, and it actually was me, Mark, who mentioned it in my transfer rumours many episodes ago. Now, there's a bit of news for you. Did I keep all my notes from our first podcast, Mark?
Gee, right, man.
I put them into a shoebox, 3 A4 refill pads, Mark, full of all my notes. Because I've become famous, Mark. I'd sell them, man. I'd make a fortune.
To see my notes, I do them on a wee notepad on my laptop and then delete it once we're finished every podcast.
No, I have them all. I kept them on. As I suppose.
In counselling, lad. That's
that's a bad OCD or something there. I suppose before we start the match, lads, I just want to go to John because he's been at Celtic Park recently, and I just want to know, John, what was it like to be back and the atmosphere back in the stadium?
Oh, it was brilliant, Paul. Just getting ready for the game. I just had a buzz through, and when I got to the stadium, just everybody all walking about buying their scarves, people going into pubs and that was brilliant. In the pub, that was a good laugh there, everybody all singing, and just felt there was something there. See, just to be back, everybody was saying it's brought me back now, and going into the stadium and just sitting there listening to all the fans singing, just sitting in that seat again. When I sat down, it was just a wee relief, just sitting down and looking about and seeing it all. I just had that buzz through, and it was like, whoa, I never thought I'd be sitting here again. And just to be sitting there and watching that football as well, it was something else, and I really enjoyed the night. And I look forward to many more games this season.
I say, like, you've been away for so long as well, John. Like, it was like being back at Celtic Park for the first time ever, I suppose. The butterflies coming back and stuff like that.
I kind of had that wee feel about it. It's kind of didn't think I would see the inside of there again, but it was good to be back in, and just the way all the fans were with each other on that as well. I had a brilliant wee seat, so I was sitting right next to the game brigade and that as well, so it was a kind of good atmosphere too, and it was good to be back. And I was there on Sunday as well, and it was good to be back as well, but I kind of had a quiet one Sunday, but I was wild last Thursday, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we kind of noticed that, alright.
I had a good few pints doing his last week. It was a good night, and I'm looking forward to going back again this season.
Mikey, you're going soon enough as well after you come out of isolation. Actually, you're going. Is it the weekend you're going as well? I think.
Yeah, I'll be on the weekend. Yeah. No, actually, sorry, I can't go to the weekend because my isolation doesn't end until Sunday, early hours of Monday morning. So it's another game that I missed, but like I say, my ticket definitely never went spare yesterday because there's people all over that. So
Mikey's going downhill, Mark, since he joined the podcast, isn't it?
What?
Yeah.
Mikey went downhill since he came onto the podcast with us.
I know. I've jinxed him. He's not seen a Celtic between us and COVID. He's not seen a Celtic game in months.
Well, like I say, hopefully I'll see it. By the looks at it, like I said, after yesterday's performance, there should be a few more European games.
I think.
Anyway, so like you said to yourself, yeah, we'll obviously get on to it about the game anyway, but I was confident, yes. I think I was the most confident person in Scotland. Like I said yesterday, it was like there was only going to be 1-1, and I was right.
Who get the score right, Mikey?
That was just lucky.
Who get the score right?
I think you got it right, but I was a lot more confident in the 2-0.
To be fair, Mark, you haven't been that wrong with the score lines recently, in fairness, like.
Honestly, it's just pure flicks. It's no any great knowledge of I'm not part of some great big betting syndicate that's fixing games and things like that.
Yeah, there we are talking about in
Sorry.
previous podcast there about fucking match fixing there, and there's Mark behind it all. Then like, huh?
I'm going to nip in just before I move on to something else. I've got the Legia Warsaw. I just went and froze there. Juranovic have just put Legia ahead to make it 2-1.
Yeah,
He just scored there, right?
Yeah, he literally just scored about.
Mikey, it's a strange one because it was actually Vonica that translated for me. That her dad sent her the Lega news bulletin out, like the match program thing that he sends out before the match. Like it was actually on the match program, like, and he came out to the fans and he said like that this deal isn't done yet compared to reports are saying like Janovic is still a player. I thought tonight was going to be his last game. Maybe it is going to be his last game. That he's thought it looks like the deal will be done, like, but it's not done and dusted as what the Sky Sports and other kind of media things are saying, Mikey, is it?
No, well, like I say, is they're beating Slavia Prague 2-1 away. Like I say, Juranovic has just went and put them 2-1 up. And the ball seen what Slavia Prague were last year. They were a good side, like so. I mean, if Legia progressed in the Europa League, surely they're not going to be too keen on letting him go because there's still decent money in that league. Yeah,
exactly. Like like people like think that because it's the Eastern European leagues, Mike, they've come on an awful lot over the years, and they're strong leagues, and Lega are getting bigger and bigger as a team as well in Europe as well. Like so, like they want to be holding on to their players as well. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm surprised as well that the negotiations went so quick according to the press, because there's obviously previous bad blood between the clubs as well, going back years ago when.
Yeah, exactly. They fielded the eligible player, weren't they?
Yeah, and but like I say, hopefully the deal is done, because, like I say, if he does end up scoring the winner night for them, that's not going to help our cause to get this deal done. Hopefully, like I said, it is done, because.
Exactly, Mark. You would like to think it is now, don't you?
It's done that, but what you're saying there about these leagues out in Eastern Europe and that, Paul. It's like me and Mike have spoke about that before. I don't know if it was between us or just on the podcast, but it's this kind of snobbery in Scotland.
You don't see outside it, Mark, into the Premier League and stuff like that, like, you know.
People with the Japanese league, see outside Celtic, maybe Rangers, or the best of the teams are there are at a higher level than the rest of Scottish footballs. The teams are all even kind of more evenly matched. Do you get what I mean? It's a closer league. It's a better league. The standard of football is probably decent enough, probably better than your run-of-the-mill games in Scotland as well. But it's snobbery that if it's not in England or in Italy or something like that, it can't be any good. It's just craziness.
And I asked Vonica to kind of convert, because they don't deal in euros or pounds over there. Like, you know, it's their own currency. They have zloty. And I asked her to kind of convert 2.5 million into zlotys. Like, it'd walk out about 12 million zlotys. That's what it'd walk out to Lega Warsaw. And that's not really much, Mark, for them to be selling kind of one of their top assets. Really, I say Janovic is, like, you know what I mean? You know?
Well, he's obviously one of their most saleable assets, because
Yeah.
It's obvious he's the kind of one out of their full team that everybody's kind of talking about as a transfer to get the money in, isn't it?
You know, so like you'll have to watch it close. I don't expect it to be done, as people are saying it's going to be done over the weekend. Like I can't see it. Do you know what I mean? I think maybe they might, if they're winning tonight, Mikey, they maybe want to be holding on to him for the second leg.
I don't understand, like you says, and like I say, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't understand how they'd be selling Juranovic if they've got a serious chance of, well, like you say, if they get a victory like at Slavia Prague away, and then beat them in. Why would they sell him when they come for him in the Europa League group stages?
And so cheap as well, Mikey.
Well, it's cheap because, like I say, people maybe know. Obviously, everybody just sees the Champions League money, and that's the big money. There's still decent money in the Europa League. So, like I say,
especially for clubs like that, like for them to get a good run in the Europa League as well. Like it's big money for them as well. Do you know what I mean? For TV rights and everything, like it's good money for Lega Warsaw to progress in the thing. Like, so look, we'll watch it closely. Unfortunately, I missed the match last night for personal reasons. I'm sure these lads will give me a big lowdown on how the match went. Mark, I'll just come to yourself first. Like, how did the match go for you? Was Celtic in control of it, or was there moments where we looked dodgy in the game, or
There was a couple of dodgy moments, but overall I'd say we were in control of it, Paul. I mean,
Mhm.
Joe Hart didn't have much today. And he made a couple of saves. The one he's fit, I think, was crucial, but we were never really under that serious kind of extended periods of pressure for them. They were,
Mhm.
don't get us wrong, they were trying, they were running it as they were trying, but I mean, it's a lot of Celtic they were just passing the ball and making them run in. They couldn't, the Alkmaar players couldn't keep up with them.
Mhm.
There at one point was talking about just a wee short passes, and they were saying it's just straight off the training ground, just to control the game, slow the game down to their pace, and the Alkmaar players couldn't get near them. Starfield had a wee couple of dodgy moments, but it kind of grew into the game as it went on. But I mean, Mikey was confident. He'd said to me, he says we could pump them about 4-0 or that. But they were a good team. They're probably the best team we've faced this season. And for me, really, Celtic were in total control.
Mhm. Mikey, what's your thoughts on the game last night? Comfortable for Celtic?
Yeah, it was as comfortable as I thought it was going to be. Like I says, they were a tad better than what I thought they were, but like I says, Edward, obviously they hit the post and that, and they had their chances, but overall in the game, like I say, Celtic dominated the game. Like I said, the guy at the back for them, that Bruno Martins Indy, he's absolutely rank rotten, him at the back. And like I says, when you've got the players going forward and you've got defenders like that at the back, then you're always going to get chances. And I still kind of get over Edward, because if Edward scores to make it 3-0, and that's again, did
he miss the scissor again? Did he, Edward? Did he miss the scissor again?
I thought it was a sitter, and it's like he says, he's got a bad habit of he seems to score like obscene goals like that you wouldn't expect him to, and it just goes to like just easy, just
poachers. He struggled to stick away the kind of poachers goals, didn't he?
Yeah.
Dinks into stick a foot out and get your foot in the end of it.
Like I say, if Furuashi was on the end of that, I think that's in the back of the net, if I'm being honest. But like I say, overall, like I said, I thought it was going to be 3 or 4, and it could have been. Like I say, if the odd chances were here and there, but going over there, I think it'll be a score draw over there, and I think we'll go through easy. So
I'd settle for a score draw. I think everybody would take that, Mikey.
Yeah, I think they'll get it, like because I think they will score over there, whether their fans and that behind them. Like say, they're quite a well followed club across there, and they'll have their crowd and that in as well. So, but like I say, I just didn't see Celtic. Like see, Celtic will score. So, and I didn't see Celtic.
They're going to have to come out and attack as well. Like so, that's just going to open up space for Celtic to play the way Ange wants us to play as well, isn't it?
So they had a good few chances last night as well. Kind of squandered them a wee bit too. They kind of looked good at pressing as well. Just I think we were just too strong for them. And I know Celtic players' eagerness to win the ball back. They were just right tapping them again as soon as they lost the ball. It's one thing I've noticed for the team too.
Mm-hmm. Of course, there's social media. I was there to get some clips of the game where I saw Kyogo's goal, and the skill mark by Rogic for that goal was like Rogic of old, wasn't it? Like we always know he had the skill mark, but he never showed us what he could do in the past seasons. Like, but that was brilliant last night by Rogic, wasn't it?
Full performance, Paul. Again, it was a lot of like guys in the live chat gave him man of the match. And it was, for me, it was one of the contenders anyway. He's just he's just a completely new signing.
And did he last the full game, or did he come off again, or?
I'm sure he lasted the full game. Did he know?
I think he came off. Near the end.
You know, there's a worrying thing there now for me today, because I just read before I came on the podcast that the Australian manager came out and said that he wants him to come back to the Australian fold as soon as he can to help the Australian team. And I think Rogic's nearly better off kind of retiring from international junior and concentrating his club career, Mikey, ain't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one when you're, like it says, everybody would say like just concentrate on Celtic, but a lot of guys are passionate and playing for the country as well. So if the guy wants to go back and play for Australia, then unfortunately, when you sign players for that neck of the woods, you're going to realise that you're going to be up against it when they do go on international football,
Yeah,
on international duty.
Montgomery.
it's the more the travelling market, this,
Sorry,
you know.
it was Montgomery came on for Rogic.
Montgomery.
He came on for him.
And what position did Montgomery go on the left wing, so or something, was it? Or?
Yeah.
I think he went left wing. I think kind of stuck 5 across the middle.
Aye.
And just kind of stuck Eddie up his cell.
He really like is like a new signing for the club, Mark. We spoke about him in previous podcasts how we thought the corner, but like we never expected him to be this fit really and to be up for it every game. Now that he's been playing, he's like you really can't drop him, Mark, at the moment, can you, Roger?
No, definitely no, Paul. I mean, I've gave him dogs abuse on here before. I've had my hands up to him, and I'll admit he's turned the corner. I'm not saying that all the do you know, but I mean everything we've said for him for years. It was all true.
And we have to stand by it, Mark, because you're going by what's in front of us. You know what I mean?
Exactly, your eyes don't lie, Paul. But he's definitely turned a corner under Ange, and he looks a lot leaner, a bit more muscular. And Mikey said it before. That see, sometimes there can be 2 or 3 players round about him, and you can't. I don't know how he comes out of that with the ball still at his feet. From his close control and that. And this is, we've said it for years. If Tom Rogic had worked hard and applied himself, this is the player we would have had for years.
But is it down to Mark that Ange knows how to get the best out of Rogic as well after being with him in the Australian float? He knows how to get the best out of him. He knows he has fitness issues, but no, Rodgers couldn't even get the best out of Rogic. Do you know what I mean?
No.
You know, he wasn't lasting full games out of Rodgers either, and we're even playing a more high intensity under Ange than we did
Maybe when Rogic has found out that Ange's coming in, it's clicked in his seat. He can remember how good it was away
exactly
playing for him under Australia. The type of training he was doing, the type of football he wanted to play. And that's maybe Rogic said to himself, if I can knuckle down here, get back together, I've got a future here. Because the way he was going, he had no future at Celtic. Fair play to him, but I mean, really, you've got to be really impressed with the way guys like Rogic, Ralston and that are buying into things under Ange and changing just changing the full game. They basically are.
Like I think the Kyogo goal, when I saw the clips, like he knew where that ball was going, didn't he? Like he could read where Rogic was going to put the ball, and he was there at the end of it. Like that's 6 goals in is it 6 games I think he's played, and he's only been at the club maybe 2.5 weeks. He's really taken Celtic under his stride, isn't he, Kyogo?
I think what I said after seeing him for a couple of games, and I didn't want to overjudge him, is and I've maybe even undersold him, but I seen a lot Gary Hooper in him just for his poaching ability and getting goals. And I remember a goal against Rangers before 2012, I think it was 2011, when Izzy Geary crossed it to Hooper, and Hooper.
Yes, at the back post. Yeah, it was like similar to that one.
It was just so similar in like movement, and like the guy's just probably going to hit a nut that you'll always score. I think he's going to be one of the guys, even if he's not hitting a great game, he'll still score, and that's priceless at the top level of football. They're hard players to get. Even if he doesn't score, he'll create something for somebody else. You're always. It's just you, Mike. If he's having a game, he's the type of player that you'll look to change things. And I think, like he says, that's when AZ after the game, and they said it before it. They tried to sign him in 2019, and that's what they said after the game. That's the reason we tried to sign him, because that's the kind of player he is. So, what's the surprise to me? Even at 26, he's still young. Don't get us wrong, but I'm surprised that he's been
unnoticed
in Japan for so long. Yeah.
You heard them on the telly last night when they said that as well, Mikey. They said that he knocked back AZ Alkmaar because he wanted to move to like a bigger club.
Yeah.
So maybe, do you know what? Maybe, do you get what I mean? Maybe to get to like get a team that's maybe playing in Europe. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, well, I understand, like you said, because that Yokohama that he came for, like they're massive, massive club, like and compared to like AZ Alkmaar, they're more than quadruple the size. No, as in a club, So he's probably looked at that, like you say. Like you say, you've got to remember that that stadium that he plays in is full every week nearly when they play, and they get 72,000 a week, 72,000 a home game. Yeah.
Maybe no seen AZ Alkmaar as a step up. Whereas
I would.
to Celtic is a kind of a step up. New teams, do you know what I mean? Because you're saying that Yokohama, they're massive out there. So there's only so many clubs in the world that you would say are bigger than them.
Yeah, well, like I say, that's probably surprising people as well. Like the size of that Yokohama and the J League, and we've talked on this before, so it's no point to keep going over it. But how actually big some of the clubs and some of the quality football over there. So I think, like I said, when he signed, it caught people off guard. But I mean, that was a. But I put it this way: if Eddie Howe was the manager, then Fleury Arche's not coming in, is he?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Seen Rogic the way you're seeing him either.
He
no,
already excelled. So
John, you
That's that bullet, didn't we?
definitely.
Definitely.
Really,
John, you've seen him up close. Sorry, Mark. Go on.
I've just got just about how. I mean, nobody was really jumping through hoops about him coming, but and nobody really. I mean, it was a bit embarrassing the way it all went tits up at the end. But I mean, really, but a lot of once we saw Ange was in the frame, a lot of seen that. Oh, this guy's a better coach and get more to offer to Celtic than somebody like Howe has. I mean, he's still doing a job yet, is he?
No, he's been overlooked, Mark. Like he's even been overlooked by the likes of Crystal Palace and everything. Like, you know what I mean? So, you know, he's not as his stock isn't as high as Eddie Howe thinks it is. I think, Mark.
Definitely,
You know,
definitely no, Paul.
you know, John, you saw Kyogo up close. Like, how impressive for you Adam, seeing him up close, and how fast is he when you see him up close? Like, you know, we see glimpses, but you don't see the full game of Kyogo on the pitch. You know.
Aye, he's outstanding, Paul. His speed's brilliant, his work ethic's brilliant. It's even when players put balls to him, it's then they see the pass is going to work out, he still makes something happen with it. He'll still go to the end, and he'll still just get a wee cross out of it, and just the way he keeps chasing things down, he's just amazing. I'm glad he's at the club now. And sometimes you watch him, you keep looking on the way he's playing that, you're like, is this real? Is he this good? It's a sign of the season. I think it's just got to get better and better. We'll be lucky to keep him, I think, at the end of this season. I think he's going to hit the 25, 30 goal mark. So that's a sad thing, but it's just when we get players like this, it's only a limited time we can keep them for. And to watch him live was amazing. I just think he's going to rip teams apart this season. I think they'll be able to handle him.
I don't know, John. I don't think he'd be the type that's going to go hunting for money.
Uh,
I know.
Maybe as long as Ange's here.
If Celtic, if he sees Mark, I think he's the type of player like that.
I know what you mean.
The affection that the Celtic fans are giving him, and he seems to love that, don't he?
It's how good he is, but I think there's going to be offers of 30 million at the end of the season. He's that good. He's going to be that standout this season, and in Europe as well. I think he's just we're going to hit the 30 million bar of him. He's just that good. I think he's just this season. He's just got to be top everywhere, or Europe, just by how good he's going to be.
Doing this tonight.
No, I just.
Bound.
We've already broke the 25 million in it, so we can maybe push to the 30 million. I just think he's that good. He's got everything. He's just his vision, his pace. He knows where the net is. He tracks back. He chases down. He does his defending duties. And I just think the boys everything about him, and I think he's just got to be better and better. And I think he's going to bang hundreds of goals in Europe as well. That's how we get to the group stage. And I just think a lot of clubs are going to take notice.
He never stops, Mark. So he doesn't. He doesn't stay in the one place. Like, so he doesn't. He seems to be moving all the time. And as Barry said, like, defenders don't like that, Mark. So they don't. You know.
No, it's just pulling them over the park. They don't know where he's going to go, and especially see the way Turnbull. We were the other week, a few weeks back. He wasn't looking too settled in that in the team, but Turnbull came on leaps and bounds as well. And see, he likes these wee slide passes through the defence. Kyogo's eating them up.
Yeah.
With him every time.
You know, like, for such a short time, like, how the team has clicked. Like, do you know what I mean? You have to give credit where credit is due to Ange and the team as well, Mark. Like, how fast they actually clicked. Like, because, like, we knew it was going to take time, like, for the team to click. But, like, even the new signings, like, everything just has been clicking into place nicely every time they played together. You know.
Aye. It's as if I spoke about Abada, the way he came in and started Kyogo. It's as if Joe Hart, even, it's as if I've been playing there for years.
Mm-hmm.
With Joe Hart, again, we've said that what he would bring to the team, and he's done exactly that. He's brought a kind of a bit more confidence to the defence. You know, a bit,
Mhm.
it's no, everything's no as rushed kind of idea, a bit more calmness about it. He's
Aye.
up the defence and things like that.
Mhm.
See, save last night with his feet. Do you think he meant that? Do you think he meant that?
Aye,
Aye, so I kind of watched the replays back and the highlights as well, and just you can see the way he sticks his feet out
kind of
and I put it to the side.
kind
Aye,
of his leg out at it a bit, hadn't he?
But Hart was
Aye.
known as well for making saves with his feet.
He could have made an arse of that, do you know what I mean? But
I know.
he tried it, but Barkas wouldn't have done that. Skpe wouldn't
Aye.
have done that. You know,
His 2 saves would have been 2 goals if it was A2, innit?
that's the sign of like a right good keeper, isn't it? To stick the full body out as far as any extreme can reach to try and get a touch on the ball.
Aye.
Speaking of defence, I have to give credit where credit's due again to Anthony Ralston. I saw it was goal bound, the pass. All it was there was the tapping, but Ralston, Mikey, just came out of nowhere with a sliding tackle and put the ball out to play. What a player he's turned into be, indeed, Ralston.
When he was coming through the youths, he was obviously high sought, and then he just kind of lost his way when he went on loan. Like, it didn't help as well. Like, I think people overlook as well when he got brought into the Celtic team by Brendan Rodgers. He brought him into the Champions League and put him up against Neymar and everything. Him and I mean, what kind of confidence is that going to do for a young guy when you're getting pumped 5 and 7 and everything, playing against PSG and that, putting young guys in that situation? Know what I mean? And like he says, nobody can disagree. He only got the 1 year deal because he was the only right. The problem is, if he keeps going to be, you only need to get him tied down now. Like he says, because he's only got a year's deal, is he? So I mean, he might look at it like he's playing for a bit, not a bigger move, but a potential move elsewhere. But Ralph, like I said, everybody on this podcast and forum and that, if you said at the start of the season Ralston would be this good, they'd be thinking he was, like he says, on the baby like that.
Yeah.
So he says, but after the performance, like he says, and if they get this Juranovic in, if Juranovic signed in the morning, he's still no starting at the weekend.
No.
Like it says, we move on to that upper line there, Mickey. Mark, like, should we look to tie down Ralston and maybe increase his contract with the way he's playing at the moment, or is it?
Definitely. I mean, he's not going to be fantastic money, Paul. I think we've spoke about it. Even now, he's more than proved he's good enough to be a backup player for Celtic. Do you know what I mean? But I totally agree that he shouldn't just be doing something that's brought in. I offer him a new contract, you know, and even with that, it's saying they gave him the year's contract, but then they're saying to him, look, you've really fucking knuckled in here, son. Well done. We're going to do you for that. There's a 3-4 year deal with a couple of grand extra on your wages.
Yeah, instead of leaving for nothing at the end of the season and kind of everything blown up in Celtic's face, that we didn't tie him down as well, Mark, isn't this? You know?
Celtic again, I think it was a bit like the Lee Griffiths kind of situation. Needs it must.
Yeah, exactly.
Side keep at least players that we can keep here, they now keep them.
Another thing that stood out for me was actually when Ralston was down injured and Joe Hart using all the experience. He went off to Ange, and the way it looked like that, he was explaining that the defence was coming under pressure, and himself and Ange negotiated something, and Hart went back then and he pulled McGregor and defence together. That's what we kind of were getting when we signed Joe Hart, Michael. Wanted the experience and him knowing the situations that need to be done. The Celtic defence, I believe, were coming under pressure around that time, and Hart basically used his experience there and got the message to the manager that something needs to change at the back line.
Well, I thought tooth and nail a lot of the guys on here regarding Joe Hartman at this time, because everybody was saying, oh well, he isn't a Ange Postecoglou goalkeeper because he can't play it through the back. Well, what are people saying now? Like he says, he should.
Because see when people going about us playing it for the back, Mikey, I think people are talking about they're expecting a goalkeeper to like take. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
In FIFA. I mean, I mean, it is all they're basically asking them to do is play the ball, pass the ball. I mean, even if you're spent years being a goalkeeper, you should be able to still make basic passes of the game. Do you know what I mean? It's no, I don't think it's that big a jump to ask a player to do that.
But he did. But Mark Hart showed his experience though in that situation, didn't he? Like what we all said, like Hart's been at the biggest clubs in English Premier with Man City and Spurs. He's been with Spurs. He's been over Italy, and that's what we said Hart will bring to the Celtic team as well, is the experience that's needed to spot these situations when we're under pressure. He rectifies it, and that's basically what he did there, wasn't it?
Aye, he knows,
You know,
and he knows through experience how he should be reacting, and the defence should be reacting to different situations. So see, like when you've got guys like Joe Hart playing, it's something like I'm not saying a trainer or a coach on the part, but if they've got that level of experience, it helps. Do you get if they've played at the highest level? Do you listen to these guys that have done it?
yeah. So you certainly wouldn't see Barkas or Bain going off to Ange when the player's injured to get a message across. Look, we're under pressure here. We need to change something for the last couple of minutes of the game. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, we spoke about it as well. Joe Hart's still a big name in football. Said that
Exactly.
about him. It is quite a bit of a coup for Celtic to get Joe Hart up here, even though he's a bit older, blah blah blah. But he's still a big name in world football. I don't know. One of the Alkmaar players chased him half across the park last night to get his jersey off him. So these
Jeez.
that's Joe Hart.
Joe Hart, like that, exactly. You know.
I mean, even that. See, like if you come up against teams that are maybe younger players in that, they're maybe a wee bit even in awe of that as well.
Barkas has gone up after the match asking Joe Hart for his jersey, I said.
Joe
Can you sign that for me there? Can you sign that for me? But John, he has made a difference to the back line as well. His experience, hasn't he? Hart, since he came in, you know, he's an experienced keeper. The years he's been playing, like, and as Mikey said, like in previous parts, like for 1 million to what we got Joe Hart for, like some signing again by Celtic, hasn't there?
100%. He's added a lot of calmness to the back line. You can see him talking to his defence all the time, trying to sort it. And when he played the ball at his feet, I thought he handled that quite well last night as well. He's kind of comfortable with it, and he's playing the wee passes back to the defenders. And sometimes when he's need to go long as well, he was doing the wee chips there, obviously at the wing, and he was always finding his man. And obviously he's been there, done it. He's won titles now. He's played at the highest level. And as Mark says, it's definitely a bit of a coup getting him. He's still a massive name in football. And he settled in right well, and pulled off 2 good saves last night. If that was Barkas, probably them in goals. And the other qualifier as well last week, he pulled off 2 good saves as well. And the way the crowd went mental, as if we'd just scored a goal. So I kind of think we all thought that a bit of relief. We've got a goalkeeper there now we can rely on. It's going to pull these saves off and don't concede as much goals now. And I'm happy to have him. At the start, it's a wee bit hanging just because of the way his career's went the last few years, but now he's in, he looks comfortable and looks like it's a steal now for £1 million. I'm happy he's in there.
Mark, Celtic's away record, as we know in Europe, has been pretty dreadful over the years, but do you feel comfortable going into the next leg that we have enough to overcome AC? Is it?
I'm confident that we'll get through. I'd say I'd take a draw there just so that we'll go through, but we'll score. We'll score there. I think there's a good chance that we will beat them there. I do, because again, they were a good.
They're going to have to come out to score as well, Mark. Don't think they're going to open up space for us, and we're not an attacking team. They are make the space, like.
We'll exploit that space, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, John and Mikey said that they did spend a lot of time like pressing us and that, but they weren't really getting anywhere. But I mean, they were pressing, but they weren't really breaking down their control of the game or nothing like that.
But that shows that then, like as you said, when they're pressing, they want getting out. That shows how Ange, Mark, doesn't want players dwelling on the ball too long. You know, pass and move. You know what I mean? And that's where you're not going to get the ball off you. Do you know what I mean?
They're getting like one touch and then it's a pass.
Yeah.
That's the way you know what I mean? Quick passing football, and they struggled to keep up with us a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. Mikey, you'd be fairly confident as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm like it says, there's no way that we won't go over there and not score. So, like it says, I think it'll be a score draw. I think, like it says, because of the fact that they've got a push for it, I think it's more in our favour. Like it says, they've got to come out and. I mean, if I was a defence, the last thing I'd want to do is open up to that attack running at you.
Like it's great, like that the away goals not there and that they didn't score, that they can sit down there and defend as them for the second game, like, you know, like that's a real benefit to Ange as well, that he can play the way he wants to play.
I think what I loved it.
Maybe we go full whiz back in, because if we went early in the score, we had wiped out, wouldn't it?
Exactly, true. It works both ways, like, don't it?
I think what I loved it yesterday as well, and I didn't think John would have seen it when we'd been at the match, but Mark would have seen it, was in the last few minutes when we had set piece close to the box, the players were wanting to take it into the corner, and the camera went on Ange, and you just seen him shouting, "Get it in the box, get it in the box." Like he says, most people were happy with the 2-0 and get out, but like he says, even the manager's like, nah, get it in the box.
That's going back to what he's saying, Mark, isn't it? He never stop. You know what I mean? It's going back to he's saying his philosophy, Mark. Like, he wants to play for the full 90 minutes and score goals for the full 90. There's no defending the lead or anything like that, Mark. Get the goals if you can get the goals, isn't it? You know?
But they brought on the likes of McCarthy and then like Soro came on right just before the death, although I don't know where the ref get the 5 minutes injury time for. But I mean, that's good management just to tighten things up and see the game. But it wasn't as if it was right, we're 2-0 up, get everybody back and we'll just keep defending. As Mikey says, a free kick, he's like, get it in the box, straight in the box. Just constant. If you've got chances to try and make a goal, you try and make a goal, doesn't he? He's not going to, I don't think he's ever going to kind of settle, say everybody shut up shop, we're just got, unless, I don't know, fluke against Barcelona or something like that, do you know what I mean? But
yeah, but we said that anyway, Mark, about James McCarthy, like that he's not going to come on and you're going to play defensive. Like, McCarthy's one of the best passers of the ball out there. Do you know what I mean? You know, so like, he's not going, just because he's bringing on James McCarthy doesn't mean he's shutting up shop either, like, is it?
Oh, it's just that, I'd say it adds a wee bit more steel to the kind of midfield, and a bit more of a dig in about there. But I spoke of that as well. People think McCarthy's going to come in and just sit in front of the defence like Scott Brown did. That's not going to happen.
John, you'll be fairly confident as well as.
I definitely am 100% confident now. It's the way we're playing, and also you can see the confidence in the team, and the style of football, and just you can see the players, they never give up, they just every time they lose the ball right back and they win it back. And I'm definitely confident. I'm going to be confident getting every game now. As the week's going, it's just going to get better and better, and the players are just going to be more telepathic with each other, and they're going to be a lot more fitter and a lot more aggressive, and I think we've got a good season ahead and good things to look forward to.
Isn't that brilliant to hear, Mark, from a Celtic fan now compared to last season, the last 2 seasons, I say, Mark, under Neil Lennon, that I'm confident now going into any match we're going into, you know, in this.
In day, Paul.
Yeah.
The full mood of the Celtic support, night and day, compared to what it was like. I mean, everybody is, see on the phone, everybody's still got their wee niggles and their wee moans, but I think basically everybody's kind of on the same page and can see the work that Ange is doing and the way things are turning around, and obviously the progress that we've made in really such a short space of time. That's the amazing thing for me.
Speaking about moans, there was a few things I picked up on Twitter there this morning. Look, I'm not going to repeat what they were saying, but it's bang out of order. It was instructed towards Carl Starfelt and the abuse that Celtic fans were putting up on Twitter about him, saying, and they were saying basically he's not good enough, he needs to be dropped, we need to sign 2 new centre-backs. Like, this lad's only in the door. Do you know what I mean?
That has to stop, man. People need to calm down. He's kind of just settling into a team, and it's
and like, Mark, if you can't, like, we had this all last season and going into people's personal life last season with players, like, we don't want that crap this season, do we? Get behind the team, back the new signings, judge them in 6-7 months' time. give the players a chance to settle down and get into the team in this.
Aye,
You know?
it's ridiculous, Paul. Absolutely ridiculous. The grief that Starfield's getting after. He's hardly in the door.
Yeah.
He's not like the ground running the way Abadar, Kyogo and people like that. But, I mean, for a couple of games there, I'm sure Bawz said that his passing stats and that were the best in the team.
Mhm.
So, right, he's had a couple of wee wobbles this time going for the Bonehounds like, but I mean, he's still only just in the door. It's just
Yeah.
so things like that really annoy me.
Yeah. Especially Mikey, like when we look after the last season, like the abuse and like I can give abuse to a player, criticise his playing the game and stuff like that, but going into someone's personal life and thing like that, like you're either going to back Celtic or just shut up, like in this, you know?
People don't remember like Van Dijk's first like 5-10 games for
Yeah.
Celtic. And I'm not comparing Starfelt to Van Dijk before people got on their high horse. But it's been the same since even the start of the season when the new manager came in, Postecoglou.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of him. He must be stinking. Poor Ange. What would they pay £4 million for him for? Just came for the J League. Starfelt. Do you think that Kyle Starfelt is going to be in the national team for Sweden if the guy can't play football?
Exactly.
And listen, remember, people got to remember as well. Again, came from the Russian league, played nearly every game for Rubin Kazan last season. Again, it's getting back to the snobbery again. The Russian league's well bigger than the Scottish league.
Mm-hmm.
No,
tougher.
No, I mean, so people again, it's just as usual. Just some self-sports have just got this self-entitlement. I think that they just abuse anybody for. Hey, he had a shaky game, but he wasn't a horrific last night. Like, yeah,
He grew into the game, Mike. As the game went on, he looked more comfortable.
from the TV, he looked like he had a few shaky moments, but like he says, he grew into it and his passing that got better. John will maybe have more to say on him because he's seen him live, but he certainly the first start of the game he looked a bit shaky. But by the end of the game, I thought he looked quite comfortable.
I've noticed that with Starfelt. It's kind of at the start of games, he kind of looks a wee bit nervy, but as the game goes on, he grows into it and he starts playing better. It's just I kind of think his nerves still, and it's just as he gets into it, it gets better and better. But I think it's because they see a bad and Kyogo, the way they've hit the ground running, they're shining. It's kind of putting a wee bit of negative light on him. So obviously he's not standing out as much. It's kind of making fans think.
Might be that, John, but I mean, I don't even. To be honest, I don't know what Paul's on about. I've never seen anything on Twitter or that.
Aye.
But I mean, if a guy's getting personal abuse with it,
Mark, you know me, but when I do not my notes, I searches everything. Yeah,
honestly, I don't know what I'm talking about. We'll see it later on, but anything like that's bang in order. You know what I mean? It's really arseholes on that Twitter. Honestly, it really is. The place is a cesspit.
I just thought like, it's still early days. It's still early days, Mark. You know what I mean? And like, there's a whole buzz around the club, the way the club are playing, the first team's in a good place and stuff like that. And like, if one player is going to be targeted by certain fans, like, it's going to knock that player. Like, and how is he supposed to improve if he's going to be constantly getting abuse? It's going to affect his performance, like, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we're sitting there, right? We're in a way being negative. He didn't start the game well. He's had a wee bit dodgy. You don't need to abuse. You get what I mean? Pure abuse, guys. Even down to the likes of Christie. You know how I feel about Christie and that. But I mean, I've never come out and like openly abused the guy or anything like that. I wouldn't. Because let's be honest, it's a game of football. Do you know what? I wouldn't say that anybody knows Starfelt's going to hear this, but there's maybe some folk in Christie's family that listen to podcasts, and if you're sitting there and calling him all the names under the sun and talking about his mum and his dad and all this carry on and that, nah, honestly, that Twitter, man, really.
It's a tough place, isn't it? Yeah.
So moan about it all night.
So we're going to do thing after every match. We rate the players and we get your reasons why we rated the players, and it's going to be out of 10. 5 is being average, 5 up is thing, and below 5 is obviously crap. So hopefully there's no Celtic player in that. If the live chat want to get involved, if you want to put up your player ratings, I'll read them out and we'll go through your player rating. Maybe all the player ratings, Mark, will be similar, because Celtic fans kind of are normally on board with each other. Mikey, come to yourself if you want to start with the starting 11, then your subs.
Yeah, well, I've never put the subs because.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, but I gave Joe Hart an 8 out of 10. I think his overall game, that crucial save, and he's just overall commanding of the team, and I gave him an 8 out of 10. I gave Taylor a 6 because I didn't really rate him last night at all. I think he was average. I gave Ralston an 8 out of 10. I gave Starfelt a 6 because, like he says, he had a shaky, but he grew into it, so a 6. I gave Welsh a 7. Like he says, he did everything well, but again, no too much. I gave McGregor a 7 as well. Again, one of the quieter games. I actually gave Turnbull a 6 because I didn't think he was that much in the game. I gave Rogic a 9. I thought he was man of the match by a long way. He was outstanding last night. I gave Abada a 7 again. Kind of a quiet night. Forrest a 6, and then I gave Fuashi an 8.
Mark, yourself, the same starting 11. How did you fare out?
Yeah, I gave Hart a 7. Just he didn't have that much today, but what he done well. Taylor, I actually gave him a 7. I know, probably no popular, but I thought he done no bad, and especially going forward, and you can't really fault the shift that he puts in. So I gave him a 7. Welsh, I thought he was brilliant. I gave him an 8. Starfelt, I gave a 6. Just what we said, he started off shaky, but he grew into the game. Just he needs to show himself better, but it's far too early to writing him off. Ralston, I gave him a 9. I thought he was my man of the match. Just they've changed the player that's been that the last ditch clearance thing in that.
That was unbelievable, Mark. That I saw that, like, I mean,
crucial on
like,
2 legs.
He read that like from near the halfway line when I was watching the highlights. Like, he ran from the and he tracked that whole run. Like, you know what I mean? Like, their striker didn't have a clue Ralston was coming at all. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, Rogic, he was another candidate for man of the match. I thought brilliant performance and looks a totally different player. I gave him an 8. McGregor, I gave a 7. He kind of just strolled through the game. It was a good performance. He's getting back to the Calmac we kind of know, but it was a good performance. I gave him a 7. Turnbull, I gave it a 6 as well. So he was trying things in that. Some of them were coming off, some of them weren't. But there's a definite improvement in him, so he'll just get better as well. Forrest, decent performance in shift, but I gave him a 6 as well. Abada, I gave a 6. I just thought he was a bit not as sharp as he could be, but his pace is frightening. It really is. Kyogo was another one, could have been man of the match. I gave him an 8. The subs, Edward came on, put himself about a bit and was unlucky not to get a goal. I gave him a 5. McCarthy a 4. Montgomery a 4 and Sorrow a 3.
Well, they didn't have really much time, really, did they? They kind of put on a judgment in them, like, you know what I mean? Just going on Abada, Mark, he said, would you think that was just being coming back with the injury, that he wasn't kind of up to what we expected of him?
He just didn't look as sharp as he had in the games before. He had a wee couple of games that he missed. Basically, he ran himself into the ground. He really did, and it said his pace. The pace the boys got is frightening.
And even Forrest, like, I know it was an OG, like, but Forrest likes to score in Europe for Celtic as well, Mark, doesn't he? You know?
I don't think Forrest back to his full fitness or sharpness.
Was he over in the left as well yesterday? Was he Forrest? Was he over the left again? Abada was on the right, was it? Or
started on the left and chopped and changed it throughout the game.
Chopped and changing. That's the best thing about marketing the two with our wingers at the moment, like that. 1 minute you could be marking James Forrest, the next minute you could be marking Abada. Like, as a defender, you don't know. Bobby Sunderland here has he gave Hart a 9, Taylor 6, Starfelt a 6, Welch a 9, Ralston a 9, Calamac 7, Tornell 7, Roderick 8, Forrest 7, Kyoga 8. I'm hearing great things about Ralston and Welch last night, that two of them were kind of outstanding in the back line, that two of them handled themselves well. That, Mikey, would you agree that the two lads start, Welch and Ralston?
Yeah, like I say, Welsh is. Like I say, I said at the start of the season I was dubious that he could be a regular starter at the start of the season, Welsh, but like I say, you can't really say that since the start of the season. And like I say, that AZ Alkmaar, they've got some really good players, and he didn't look out of place at all, did he?
No.
Welsh, like, yeah. So, like,
Mikey, it's maybe, see, like the likes of Ralston and Welsh, do you think maybe it's something to do with, like, their age, and maybe where they kind of thought themselves where their career was maybe going, that they've maybe bought into Ange's philosophy, or kind of a bit, they kind of went right in, didn't they? They went all in with what Ange's trying to get them to do. Does that make sense?
maybe it just suits their style of play.
Yeah.
Maybe we've got a bit of luck in the sense that that's right up their street the way they want to play. I mean, my argument would be as playing football as well, and I think everybody would agree. Why wouldn't you want to play football that way? It's only the Italians that wouldn't want to play that way. You know what I mean? It's like everybody wants to see attacking football. So,
like every young lad knows, well, Mikey and Mark and John, is like they kind of train to be good in their feet, don't they? You know what I mean? That's the kind of modern football now. Like you kind of have to be good in your feet, and as Mark said, like they kind of bought into Ange because the way he played maybe suited them, and maybe under Lennon they just like, why would you want to be a defender, Mark, and keep passing the ball sideways and backwards to your goalkeeper back there and putting yourself under that pressure? Do you know what I mean? You know?
I see that again, Paul. That's down to coaching.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
Lennon probably set out tactics. This is what I want, but he never. It wouldn't be trying to improve players.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ange's here, one of the managers. We know that he's here to improve the players that, no matter what age they are, he's putting in them. Look at Rogic, down to young Welsh and Ralston and people like that.
Like, I definitely think, Mark, that when Ange came in, he put a hand around every single player and spoke to every single player individually to find out what they're about and what their strengths are. And players,
even
different players like that, like, do you know what I mean?
But he'd have probably done that with every player, but he'll have had a meeting with
coaching staff and this is why.
He'll have a meeting with McGregor, maybe even Tom Rogic, because he knows.
Yeah.
See, to get the kind of gossip, that kind of right. I mean, I can mind Brendan Rodgers took Scott Brown down for dinner at his big fancy house down in England or something like that, and explained to Scott Brown his plan and vision for Celtic and all that kind of thing. But again, Scott Brown's down there as a captain. He's down there to give Brendan Rodgers the dirt as well. Do you know what I mean? Say, you need to watch this, and he can turn up with odd hangover. Even down to that kind of thing, he can turn up with odd hangover and things like that. That's all.
Gone.
He'll have spoke to all these kind of people that, as I said, probably Rogic will have been one of the ones that gave him like the kind of truth. Do you know what I mean? Because
exactly.
Trust somebody, he's kind of let him know what the players are like and what to expect from players and what kind of personalities he was maybe going to come up against and things like that. Because that's the type of manager, not just Ange, all these top managers, that's the kind of, it's down to the
psychology, yeah, exactly.
Thing in that.
John, we'll come to yourself there for your player ratings, but
gave Joe Hart an 8 because I just thought he was comfortable a game, good to his feet, and put off 2 nice saves too. So organised the defence well. Just gave Taylor a 7 and Starfelt a 7. Welsh an 8 and gave Ralston a 9 and gave Tumbo a 7 and McGregor an 8 and Rogic a 9. I thought Rogic was outstanding, just the way he created that goal, the wee flicks and the wee tricks to get round the defender and to the byline to get it in. Thought Abad a wee bit quiet and I gave him a 7. Gave Forrest a 7, didn't think he was kind of affected as he can be, and I gave Kyogo a 9 just for his goal and just the way he's been playing, fake him in.
I think it's amazing that y'all gave Joe Hart a high score and that he'd very little to do. But Mark, that's just showing what he's bringing to the club. He's experience-wise, Mark, isn't it?
That's what I said. He didn't have much
Yeah.
to do, Paul, but what he done well. The save
Mhm.
things like that. Do you know what I mean? That's another thing in the goalkeeper position. It's like night and day again for what we've been watching the last year and that, isn't it?
Mhm. Oh, it's just like it just brings comfort to you, Mark, that you're not seeing Bain or Barkas in goal as well, isn't it? You know what I mean? Because like, would you feel confident even in the last games against Yalbach? Like, you nearly guaranteed those two saves that Hart made in the second leg there against them. Like, those two goals were gone in against the lads. Do you know what I mean?
I
You
think,
know, he just brings a comfort.
but I think even Ange was doing what we were doing. We were giving Barkas another bite of the cherry.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I mean, we saw it in pre-season games and that. It just wasn't going to get any better. That's why
Mm-hmm.
obviously brought in Joe Hart, and I said it's totally night and day between what we were seeing last season and what we're seeing in goals this year.
Bobby Sunderland is saying confident and vocal in goal. Like, that's what Celtic needed. Uh, it's without doubt like what we needed. And you said, Mikey, like for the experience that we got Joe Hart for 1 million, like what he's bringing to the club is unbelievable, isn't it?
It's just that, like I said, they all say the two of them together because they signed on the same day. I remember getting the push notification from my phone to say Celtic had signed Joe Hart and James McCarthy. And it's like, obviously you've got wages, but £1 million for they two players. To actually think of that, it's unbelievable. Like,
Crazy when you look at, I mean, look at even the wages some players about the world and that are getting the new Mikey, and we've signed two players for that fee.
and I've never seen, like you say, John will probably be able to, again, because he was at the match yesterday. And I'll be honest, I can't remember ever seeing James McCarthy at Hamilton because it was that long ago. And obviously you've seen him on like Match of the Day and that, but
You cheeky get.
but I didn't actually realise.
I didn't actually.
Here, wait, we'll just get this out here, right, Mikey? What age are you?
34.
34, right? Anybody, John? You met Mikey. I've said it.
Aye.
He must have done a paper around Chernobyl. There's no way he's only 34, is there?
No comment.
Jeez, Mark, I asked you about the TRP Championship win, Mark.
Oh, you do look a lot older for your age, definitely. You do look a lot older.
Mark,
Not a bad way. You just a bit
John wants to get
mature.
the charity again next season, eh?
the time I asked you, Mark, the time I asked you about your thoughts in the '67 final.
What did you think of the Cup final?
And I had to change all my notes, then I had to skip past all the notes. Side all notes.
What I was meaning about McCarthy is I didn't actually realise how big he was. Like I thought he was a lot more smaller than what he looked yesterday. Like he seemed to look a lot bigger on the TV than what I thought he was.
Oh, he is.
Which is,
He is a wee bit muscly kind of. He's a bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He'll know.
Shove him off the ball easily, Mark. You know.
He's a good physical player. He'll be a great signing for us. He will. McCarthy will be a brilliant signing for us. I've no doubt about it.
Look, we'll move on from last night's game. The lads say they're very confident for the second leg. I go by their opinions as I didn't see the game. But moving on, could Celtic be about to announce 3 signings after the weekend? Will Joseph Jarszak sign? Will Liam Scales sign? Will the Greek striker Georgia sign? Mark, if you could get these 3 signings in before the transfer window close, like it is a good window by Celtic if they finish it off with these signings, wouldn't it?
I'd still like them to get that boy that Mikey raves about. Is it Lovrich?
Lovrich.
I'd still like him to come in as well. If we could get these 4 signings, it would be jugging material.
I still like to say I still not confident because I would like to see did a good start season. But Christie will definitely be away by the end, and like he says,
I think that's why he's no playing.
I think Mark, if he hasn't signed now, Mark, do you know what I mean?
I think that's why Christie's no playing. I think there's a move on for Christie, and that's why he's not been playing games. I don't believe that he's injured.
I think it's Palace. I think it's Palace that he be. I would say Palace be his most likely destination. I say.
I think what you'll find is based on even the rumours you'll find online and just on the guy himself. As soon as Christie's announced away, you'll probably find within hours that Lovric will be announced as well.
Mm-hmm. Because it's never kind of went away. That rumours never went away, so it hasn't. It's never went away. You know.
They've been putting the back burner a bit into it. It's still there. It's kind of could happen or couldn't happen.
I think that could be the same with a big striker, with Edward. Advance his side, maybe Edward I believe in as well.
But I don't think Edward will be here either, John. I've said that before.
I think I was surprised at that as well, because when I've seen that Giacomakis play last season and for the obviously considering like you go and look at videos and that, and I didn't think he's 6'1", and I was speaking to Mark yesterday. I didn't think he was that tall at all. Like in the videos I've seen, so like he says, for a guy that says that's tall and that mobile as well. Like he says, I've just obviously put in the chat and like I've just went saying that Daniel Malen for PSV just went and signed for Dortmund for 32 million and scored like Nick.
This boy outscored him, didn't he?
Yeah, 29 goals or something like that, wasn't it, Mike?
Yeah, Daniel Malen scored 19 goals for PSV, who finished second to Ajax. But Giacomakis scored 26 goals, 7 goals more for a team that got relegated, and he's available for 2.5 million. I just didn't understand the market.
We said as well, Mikey, when we were talking about it, where was Jamie Vardy when he was that age? Fleetwood?
Yeah, he was playing for Fleetwood, yeah.
He's hardly scored any goals, things like that. He only scored, was it 3 goals for some team he played for?
But a lot of people say
he only like a 10 last 10 minute kind of sub and things like that for them, but most of the games win.
Well, like I say, he played 30 games for Ike Athens after signing for them. He scored 1 goal, but he came on as a sub in 26 of them.
There you go.
So,
even
you know what I mean? So
we speak about Chris Sutton each time at Chelsea as well.
He only scored 1 goal for Chelsea.
Because if he went to Chelsea and succeeded, we'd have never seen Chris Sutton in a Celtic top. Do you know what I mean? It was because that was just a pure disaster of a move for him that he was available at our level at that time. But again, he's doing it snobbery, isn't it? Oh, he's only scored.
That's like say that, Mark. Like not seen outside.
And they don't. But they're Mikey's saying about the amount of like actual game time he had. Nobody looked into that. They've just looked at his appearances and goals. And he started every game and been garbage. If it been
exactly
wrote off already.
I think a lot of the people have obviously looked into him on the chat, and that's what everybody's saying. If you were to bring in Lovric, Giacomakis, Scales, and Juranovic, that's some transfer window. That's probably the best transfer window
that you have to build in there, Mikey. Do you know what I mean? It's a full team. Like a lot of the signings that have came in, that's a full team. And compared like the players that we have, like we have players for every position. Do you know what I mean? Like 2 players for every position, really. Like, you know what I mean?
The only problem position, and this is just me being picky.
It's left back.
It's exactly that, Paul. There's left back's a major concern for me, and
I'm a bit the same. I know you have a bit of skills in that, Paul, but
I talked to you about him down on the goal because I did up a bit of piece there in the left there, yeah.
Is he good enough to come in and be our first choice left back?
See, that's my, because like the League of Ireland, Mark, it's not like it's mostly an amateur league, really. Like, you know, you have a few teams who are professional. Shamrock Rovers are professional, but a lot of teams are amateurs. Denmark, you know what I mean?
Well, probably the level is just the same as kind of
St Mirren, then like
teams.
If Celtic want to progress in Europe or be this elite team that Ange wants us to be and Dominic McKay wants to be, I have a fear like, is he going to step up to that level? Do you get me? You know, because I rate him better than Taylor. He'd be faster than Taylor. He'd be able to play it the way Ange wants him to play, out from the back, Mark. His ring back's able to run up and down the line and be fast enough to get back when they're up further field. You get me? Like Taylor is.
I think you've done that. I think he's the type. We've spoken about these players before, Paul. They'll do a job at SPFL level, but they're going to take a struggle at the higher up level. But again, he's only a young lad, and you see
22.
the transformation Ange can make him play.
That's,
But again, for me,
that's what I'm saying,
it'll
Mark.
take a bit of time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think, is he going to be a number one left wing back, Mark? I don't know.
I think what
And I can't give that decision. Do you know what I mean?
I think what I've looked at the night, and we've talked about it the last time, you just need to look at the two fullbacks we're looking to sign. They've both scored.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like, this guy will score goals, Mikey, and I give him that.
But
like,
scored as well.
Yeah,
he scored again tonight, yeah.
And this is the second. This is Mark. Scales will score you goals. I mean, this lad is 6'4".
I see good set pieces. He'll be right in at the end of them.
It's not that, Mark. Most of his goals are his legs.
What?
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean,
Like, no.
Set pieces for a header and that, Paul.
No, but like the best thing about him, Mark, is that he's versatile. He can play centre back. He can play left back if Ange wants to switch to a flat back four. He can easily slot in there. Like, but there's me saying then, Mark, that is he up to the grade of where Celtic want to be? And there he is tonight, scoring for Shamrock Rovers tonight. Do you know what I mean? You know, so. But
Ireland are due to hit a fullback as well because, like I say, since like Coleman and Ian Hart and stuff and Gary Kelly and Dennis Irwin.
Dennis Irwin's one of the best fullbacks I've ever seen in my life.
So was that Alex Fox that said he was one of the best signings he signed, Mark?
Roy Keane raves about him and everything about him.
Roy Keane's quite funny actually because nearly every interview that Roy Keane does, he manages to bring up Dennis Irwin at least once or twice per interview.
I got a couple of things on YouTube the day with him that I hadn't seen before, and one of them was him and Gary Neville just out walking.
Yeah.
50 questions, yeah, I watched that, yeah.
And then there was one that was him, Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher getting up the canal next to Old Trafford in a barge and then doing a kind of Q&A thing with fans for all different Premier League teams. That was quite good as well. You should have a deck out at that, lads. I mean, I love Roy Keane, you know that, but see, just his internet, doing pundits saying that, just the stuff he comes out with.
Mark, JFP just wrote something in the chat.
I just about to say it there, yeah. Like, don't get him started on Roy Keane, you know.
I care, JFP, man, you know that, son, you're not allowed to say these things.
But, Mark, going back to Scales, Mark, he would be better than Taylor, you know.
And the way you're talking about him, I'd like to think so, Paul.
You know, and I think with the improvement, Mark, that we saw, what Ange can do with players this season, I'll have no fear in Scales coming to Celtic. You know, like, it's like the negativity about it, Mark, is because he's in the League of Ireland. Why are Celtic going out spending money on the left back position? And we spoke about this, Mark. It's not what you spend, it's how you spend it. And if Ange, obviously, Mark, Ange had a look at Scales as well, and if Ange might like what he sees as Scales, Mark, and he suits his system, let's go with Ange's things. You know what I mean?
You're saying as well, Paul, that he can play in multiple different positions.
Yeah.
Kind of buys into what Ange seems to be looking for. Players
doing, yeah, exactly. Adapt, Mark, yeah. You know.
I think.
I mean, Mark, for 600,000, it's not a lot of money. Like, and if it pays off, it pays off. Do you know what I mean?
I think maybe Paul, if Scales comes in, maybe Taylor maybe be moved on before the window shuts, maybe even out on loan, because I just don't think it's working out for Taylor under Ange. But I do think even if Scales, well, we know he's coming in really, but I still think there'll be another left back brought in.
Yeah, because that's John. That's really the main weakness in the team at the moment is the left back, isn't it?
Aye, Taylor, I noticed that at the Hearts game on Sunday, they were kind of targeting him a wee bit. I was just thinking balls in the tap him, and I can't remember what player it was for Hearts. The boy was just beating him with pace constantly, and even my mate was sitting next to see the same. He's like, that's the weak spot, they're just targeting him. But I like Taylor, he's reliable, obviously he gets stuck in and he's 100%. But if you want to progress and move on and kind of do well in Europe, you need to kind of get a better player in, somebody that's going to come in there and kind of be better than them and have a bit more pace as well. But only time will tell, and that's a position we definitely need to get something in straight away.
It was that boy Ginelli for Hearts.
Is that who it was?
Earlier, they brought him on at half time, and as you said, John, that's what they did. They just targeted Taylor right for
I could notice it straight away. They were just thinking me boys at him, just constantly got up with his wing, and we was just beating him for pace constantly, and it definitely is a weak spot, and it needs to be looked at.
Just on the transfers as well, before we move on. So the sell Ayer, what, for 13.5 million?
I think it was in about that, aye.
So on everybody they've brought in, it's just under 11.
Mm-hmm.
So like you say, it's how you spend the money.
Exactly. Like,
they're still not even getting close to. There's still 2.5-3 million left in the Ayer budget, alone for the players they've brought in. That's how you spend money. Like, so you didn't need to spend 20, 30, 40 million to get quality.
Wasn't Ralston only 600,000? Will Smith is saying there on the live chat deck, 600,000 was Ralston, was it?
650 was it? No.
Yeah. Like,
a half check was free.
Aye, 300,000 about my RAV check, wasn't it? But that's, I mean, I've said that a lot. I've said that for years on the forum. I've not got any problem with the amount of money Celtic spend. It's how they've been spent.
well, how they spend it, Mark. Yeah, and exactly, Mark. And the reason people are so worried about Scales, Mark, is because it's not a 1.1 million or 2 million or 3 million signing. Do you get me? Do you know? That's what people think, that they're not investing, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
See, if it came out the Celtic were spending £3 million on a player for the League of Ireland, these same fans would be moaning.
Mm-hmm. Like, if you saw on the left wing back position, Mark, a 6'4" fella who can run, and then Mark, this fella now can run. And I tell you, when you see him now, Mark, you think for a 6 foot fella going to hound the name cock, and this fella run, like, you're going to shit yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't be coming up against a player, Mark, who can run, and he's like 6 foot.
Pace, aye.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to come up against a player who's that size running at you. You saw with Ayer last year, sure. Like, when Ayer ran with the ball, like this fella's twice as fast as Ayer, and he's the same built as Ayer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's one of the main reasons we're signing him, because he's pace. Just that pace.
Definitely. It's because he, like, for me, like, the reason we're signing is because he suits Ange's system the way Ange wants to play. Do you know what I mean? Fast football. And that's what he is. He's a fast footballer. And that's why I think they're signing him, because it's obviously, we don't have the pace on the left-hand side with Taylor there. Like, and you can see it clearly we don't have the pace. And that's the one area where we think we're struggling with pace is on the left-hand side, isn't it? You know, so, like, moving on, look, we spoke about the right backs with Mikey, actually, on Sunday, that said they would link to 19-year-old Yankutu, like, and it was supposed to be a loan move, and we were saying, why don't Celtic just invest in this position and get experience in? Like, Janishek will be a great signing, Mikey, won't he, if we can get him, like a Croatian international, for the price that Celtic can get him?
Yeah, like you say, Celtic are, like you just need to look at tonight. Like you said, he's scored in Europe, so again, it looks like he's the kind of player that Postecoglou wants to play with, attacking fullbacks that can put a ball into the box, which he clearly could as well, and can also get goals as well. And I think that's where Taylor and that, well, especially Taylor, what you're doing is he's alright defensively, but going forward, he's just no good.
His final ball is paused.
Final ball is ridiculous. I mean, I can't remember the last time he actually beat a man with a cross. I think that's the most frustrating thing, and that's what I've noticed with Ralston. That's improved as the games went on with him, like how he can get forward. It was like, I didn't actually realise how quick Ralston was either. Like, he knocked it past the player a lot of times yesterday and ran around him to get onto it and won a few corners. And I was surprised. Like, again, I've not seen him properly live in God knows how long. But like I said, John will probably say it's because that's what's handy about being in the game. Like, John, did he look as quick as what he did in the thing, or was their fullback just slow?
No, I didn't look as quick as what he did. I just don't think there's really much pace in him. He just looked average. He was putting in a shift, obviously, but he's just, when it comes to pace and that, he's just not got it. And when he goes to drive at players and that, he just kind of stalks and turns back if he's not got that in him. They kind of get forward and just whip right by him.
what about Ralston? Was he? That's what I mean. Like, was Ralston?
Oh, yeah, I thought you were talking about Taylor there, sorry.
No, I was on about Ralston in the sense I didn't actually think he was that quick, but based on yesterday, and like that's what I mean, he kept knocking it past the fullback and running onto it, and that he looked quite rapid yesterday. That's what I mean, or was their fullback just slow?
No, I just think with Ralston, I think he's just hunger and desire in the boy now. He's got his chance here, and I think just every game he's getting more and more confident, and he's getting the confidence in him just to take 8 players on, and when he's getting by him, it's just the desire and the hunger in the boy, and he's definitely improving, and he's shown a lot of hunger in him now.
Well, I think what I liked about Ralston.
About Ralston, Mikey, I always I always thought he was quite quick.
I think it's just because he's quite chunky, is he?
What?
He's quite chunky looking player, is he? Like your average fullback, is he?
Aye, but I always thought he was deceptive. I always thought he was quite quick.
Mm-hmm. Mark, that was interesting. What John, I know Mikey wasn't asked about Taylor, but John just hit the nail in the head there with Taylor. That if Taylor can't get past the player, I think that he'd knock the ball back, and that's not the way Ange wants to play. He doesn't want the ball knocked back. He doesn't want the ball knocked sideways. He wants the ball moving forward. But that's what Taylor does, doesn't he? He passes the ball back, or he'll pass the ball sideways. You know?
Sometimes his play breaks down with him a bit, but I've noticed this. But if you watch the game, there is still quite a lot of backward sideways passing.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how to explain what I mean here. It's more productive. Do you get what I mean? It's not that pointless passing from side to side when there's nobody even near you and you're standing
like
in the centre.
Passing side to side, like when you need a goal, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
All these passes back your way to the side to try and create the space kind of thing. But Taylor, I don't think it's a confidence thing with him. I think he just kind of knows his own limitations. He seems to see when you see him look up in the corner or things like that. He does seem to have decent control. He'll get by his man if he's trying to like dribble by, but he's crossing as well. Just
it's poor. If we can sign the Greek lad, is that then done, Mark? Is Edward gone? Then do you think?
I think Edward will be away anyway, Paul. But I think that'll just push it further down the pecking order or whatever. I think that'll force his hand a bit.
And like there was people on the forum and all over Twitter saying who was doing these signings. I think, but it was Ange who actually brought this fella to the attention of the board. He brought Kyogo to the board. I mean, like, so Ange, Mark, we're seeing it clearly that Dominic McCoy and Ange are in charge of signings at the moment, and no one else at the club seems to be in and around that area. You know?
I wouldn't say nobody's in and around it. I think they'll still be.
Like they're the main two, like, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah.
I think it's the Fitbit people that are making Fitbit decisions, Paul.
Yeah. Properly. Yeah.
Aye, and I still think there'll be a director of football of some description brought in once the transfer window's shut and we move forward. But for now, it's obvious that Ange is having a heavy input on the signings, and Mackay's kind of just, for me, just following his advice, basically.
And that's the way it should have been. Yeah, sorry.
Because Ange could come out with players. Oh, what about this guy so and so for X League, you know that? And Celtic, the next time the teams are quoting Celtic 15, and do you get what I mean? £20 million. So Ange, even to the extent we must know the kind of budget that he's working within, and players, and knowing that the club's going to get value for money out of them, either as playing for us or moving them on in the next few years. Because back to what Mikey was talking about as well, about when we're like bringing players in, you're selling players in the way we've only spent so much of the Ayer money and things like that. I mean, they're Alkmaar, their manager, what was it, Mikey, £35 million in players they'd sold. I mean, how much of that are they reinvesting into their squad?
Well, they've invested nothing so far, really.
But
that's what I said.
It's like Ajax every year. Ajax bring in millions of pounds. Porto bring in millions of pounds for transfer fees, but they never really outlay that much to what they bring in.
Yeah, like I said to Mark, and obviously maybe the guys in the podcast wouldn't have heard that, but It was just ironic, like he says, when AZ got beat at the weekend for RKC, he was asked about the players that had left, and he says that they've still got a quality team, and that he still fully expects them to do well this season. And then after the full-time whistle, he got asked the same question. He said, "Well, what do you expect? We've Celtic have good players."
The Neil Lennon book of management, isn't it?
It is.
So-
It is like definitely. But Mikey, Ange is going to open up a different area for Celtic scouting departments. I think like he brought us in Kyogo. He was the fellow who rectified the Greek international. Like I think Ange will surely bring players to Celtic that we never even scouted or even heard of before as well.
I mean, I'm sure the like I say, Giacomakis for the Eredivisie, I'm sure that he would have been, like, I understand obviously because of Postecoglou's Greek heritage, then there might be some form of link there. That's probably helped, hopefully, swing the deal for Werder Bremen to Celtic. But he's the kind of player that should have been on Celtic shortlist in the first place anyway.
Yeah,
Because he fits right into our budget. He's banged in loads of goals. Everybody knows that Edouard's leaving. It's just a matter about like when. It's going to happen before the deadline day. Christie will be away. And as long as we've got players to come in their positions, Giacomakis and Lovric, then that's it, like he says, and I'll be the best transfer window in I don't know how long. Like, I can't remember a window like this.
just going down to the planning there, like what Mikey said there, Mark. If we get these players in now, and if Edouard leaves and if Christie leaves, we already have the players in place that we don't need to be chasing our tails at the end of the transfer window either.
I mean, a couple of months ago, everybody was saying, "Oh, we're going to need 7, 8, 9 players brought in. We're going to need this. We're going to need that." And they've stepped up to the mark so far.
Yeah,
Things are taking longer than anybody would expect. Right? We know Ange said that. Everybody knows. Do you know, the players that signed for but couldn't play games because of isolation and things like that. But I mean, if the players we've signed already and the players were get them in the door, we've ticked every box for what we were looking for. As Mickey says, this will be one of the best probably one of the best transfer windows even I can remember.
and it's down to everything, Mark. Is like transfer windows, like you could count like down to the manager, like in the new CEO, the new players coming in. Like people were actually worried at the end of last season that things were taking slowly, but how fast everything clicked on the Ange, it's just been amazing, like, hasn't it?
Aye, Paul, and hopefully maybe see if things all click into place with these signings we're hoping are coming in and the way the team's going, that hopefully folk can take a wee step back for this, carry on with the board and stuff like that, and just start to get back on the actual team on the park.
Exactly. Moving on, lads, from Ange and the new signings, one player who deserves his own slot in the short tonight is Anthony Ralston, and with a new right back supposed to be coming in the door in the next couple of days, Janacek, he's going to find it very hard, Mikey, to shift Ralston, and there's no reason why Ralston should be dropped at the moment, is there?
Fullbacks are notorious for being able to play left and right back.
Mm-hmm.
So play Ivanovic at left back.
True.
That's a good shout, right?
You know what I mean? Like it says, you see the fullbacks all the time. If wingers are able to swap sides, then how no fullbacks?
True.
As well,
Yeah.
It's you're only moving the other side of the park, really, isn't it, Mikey?
And like he says, and I don't care what anybody says, when it comes to football at any level, left and right back's the easiest position to play. That's where everybody wants to play when they get older. That's what, when I did the charity match, I think 30 players, 27 of them wanted to play the fullback.
That's where I was about to go right back and I got stuck up
See what
left
I mean?
wing. I was blowing after about 10 minutes.
So like he says, this isn't a vendetta against Taylor. It's just based on facts. Taylor knows like Mark said, he knows his limitations. That's why he doesn't get forward as much as Ralston does on the other side, or that's why he cuts inside, because he can, got the pace to go. So he plays well within his means, but that's not going to be good enough for the team, like for Ange's team.
Oh, yeah.
Like he says, if Ivanovic is coming in, then just put Ivanovic at left back.
I just make it a witch hunt against Taylor, because me and you we've backed him.
Oh, without doubt, Mark. We always did. All last season we backed him up, Mark, and things like that. But Mark, I'm a thing like in like, I'm all for Celtic players giving their all and trying everything for the jersey, but there's come to a stage, Denmark, when giving your all actually isn't good enough. Do you know what I mean?
But
You know,
that should be a basic limitation, a basic.
exactly.
Well, I mean, that's your job. That's your job to be
Yeah,
a professional footballer, to get in that part and give 100%, give everything you've got every game. Every day we say, I mean, I'm a great one for saying that about players that at least they're out there trying and putting in a shift. But Taylor, I said, I backed him up. Mikey's backed him up. It's just I've seen him again with Ange. It's just not working out for him. He was a bit. Taylor was a better player under Neil Lennon than he was under Ange.
yeah,
That
yeah,
that makes sense, aye.
exactly. Yeah, because you flat back four mark, and that's Taylor's a left back, really, an old-fashioned left back, Mark, who's used to
Defending,
defending.
aye.
Do you know what I mean? You know, like, but
But
the
I seen him getting interviewed on Celtic TV, and he's
mm-hmm,
way Ange's telling me, like, if there's a space in the middle, move into the middle. And if there's a space here, move in here, kind of thing. And you have no, I mean, he does seem to be trying, because you've noticed him doing that. He's coming inside, even in the midfield,
mm-hmm.
things like that. But again, it's just down to exact
Just looks uncomfortable, Mark, don't he? Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
ability into it.
you know, but like Ralston, like any new signing coming in, matter who be, Mark, will find it very hard to shift Ralston, I think, at the moment, won't they?
Stop telling you. For me, anyway, it is. It's up for
It's Ralston's position to lose now, really, isn't it?
definitely. 100%.
You know?
He's done. You can't. We moaned about Lennon doing it with. We even moaned about. Did Ange not do it with the young boy Montgomery as well in a pre-season game?
Mm-hmm.
But about players, but we moaned about Lennon just bringing players back in because they were available and things like that. And that's got to change. You've got to be, if you're playing well and you're doing your job without any fault on the park, that jersey's yours to lose. It's up to somebody else in training to show that they're trying to displace you.
Mm-hmm. And John, you've seen him on hand, like you were there, and there's things like what stood out to you on Ralston?
On Ralston,
Mm-hmm.
just like obviously he's been gave his chance. Obviously he's just been offered a year's deal, and I think he's just took it. He's kind of seen I've got a year here. I suppose not got a right back in there now. I'm going to get a wee run of games here. Obviously I've been at Skpe. Obviously I've been a young boy, I'm a fan. I want to give my heart here. And just see where it goes. I think he just gave everything, and obviously Ange. I think Ange's improved him as well. He's just taking everything on board, and as a player he's improved him, and he's just getting everything for the jersey. And I think I think it'd be very poor if this player was to come in and he was roped straight away to the bench. As Mikey was saying, it's a good shout. Obviously, this Juranovic comes in, stick him out left back and see what he can do there.
Are we just reading Jaroszek's stats there? Right foot only, and it's only plays on the right. You know, well, sure, it called it, Mike. You can defend with your right foot on the left hand side, can't you? I two left foot, so there's no problem for me.
I think it's more just a style of player, like it says, for the team. And Juranovic is an attacking fullback that can defend, while Taylor's a decent defender, would say, but is no very good going forward. So even if Juranovic was right-footed, like predominantly,
and he's still going to put a decent ball into the box anyway, Mikey. Do you know what I mean? With these crosses, like saw, like, you know what I mean?
I think it's more like he's getting the style of player that suits the team rather than, like says Taylor. Like says, I've defended him. I think he should have started like when we brought in Laxalt and that. Even though I've had my piece for Laxalt, he was a winger anyway, not even a left back. But like he says, it should have been Taylor that was starting in that back then anyway, because he was the best left back we had at the club at the time. But we need to, like he says, that is a position, like he says, and if we get Juranovic and Ralston's in that kind of form, then it would be silly not to put him at the left back just to see anyway.
John Murray saying he can defend left side, but no use in crossing. You know, that's his main issue. Like, his final ball is poor. He really kind of beats the first man, or if he does beat the first man, it's gone off to the other side of the corner flag. Like, I think that's the main issue with Taylor, really, is his lack of pace and his final ball, Mark, isn't it? You know?
Aye, definitely. That's what it is.
You know?
Well, I mean, really, he came in to replace KT. That's going to be a struggle.
Exactly.
He's all
Any player who they came in there, Mark, they're going to compare to Kieran Tierney. Yeah.
Celtic fans have just never took to Taylor. They've
Mm-hmm.
haven't they? But as I've said, for me, I still think we should, even we bringing in that boy Scales, I still think we need to bring in
Yeah.
a left back, the kind of lively player we've been bringing in so far this window.
Then someone has to go there, then, don't they? Because then if
Get Taylor out on loan. That's
Mark,
out on loan somewhere.
if you're saying like we have
With Montgomery.
the Scales comes in, we say another thing, but Bolingoli and Taylor, so one like would have to go, wouldn't they? Two of them, Bolingoli and Taylor.
I don't think Bolingoli will be here to come the close of the window.
Yeah.
As I said, if we can get the boy Scales, we've got the young boy Montgomery as well, but we still need, for me, a first choice, first pick left back brought in. And
Because we were saying, Mark, at the end of last season, like players leaving that we expected to leave, a few players will leave at the end of the season, but with new players coming, it's still a big squad that Ange has to pick from as well. Still, like, you know what I mean? Like, he can dabble down in the youth system as well, and like we do have players there that can come in and do a job as well. Like if players need to be rested, like that's the best I think about Ange, Mark, that we have players, no positions that we can rest players. You know what I mean? You know,
a lot of players really
that need to go.
they need to go for Celtic's own good and for their own good kind of thing.
E.g. Beaton.
Maybe take a like the end of this window. I think it'll be as I say, I think Taylor might go out on loan if left backs come in, and I think like over like January to next summer you'll see like Beaton and people like that going. I really do, because just the players, they'll just know themselves they're not going to fit into this system. They're no good enough to play in this system, and unless they're happy just to sit on the bench or not even on the bench and lift their wages, then it'd be best.
Exactly. Moving on, and excuse my French here, and we'll look ahead to the weekend's game against St Mirren. St Mirren must be shitting themselves. Come Saturday, I say, when this Celtic team steps onto that pitch, after the way we're playing at the moment, I wouldn't like to be St Mirren, Mark, facing this Celtic team, would you?
No, I think it could be a route in Saturday. Is it Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday, is it Sunday?
Saturday,
Yes, Saturday, Mark, because we're on Wednesday. It's Saturday.
So I think it could be a route here. Then I really do.
I still think St Mirren need to be treated.
The Dundee game.
Yeah, I still think St Mirren. It'll still need to be a game that'll be treated with respect, and I think.
Definitely.
I think Ange will treat every team with respect, no matter how lowly they are. You don't, Mikey? I think, yeah. But
like complacency, like you say, that gets you nowhere.
Nowhere.
I like you says, you just need to look at the reaction of the Scottish press after they lost the Hearts. That should be enough motivation for him. Like, we never knew what it was about to being a Celtic manager before that match. He certainly knew after it. In the morning, when he woke up in the morning with what was written in the press, and that'll be enough for him to know that there's certainly no complacency at all.
Buzzbomb put up there on the live chat, Celtic have 104 shots at goal in 13 days, 47 on target. Like, that's pretty good going, like, you know what I mean? You know?
Some of the stats that Buzz comes up with, I mean, I like it, like, yeah, but I mean, that's proper, like...
Me looking them up. People put in the forum that asking for stats. That's one for Buzz. Gives him something to do.
Yeah, no bad when it comes to
I
players.
still don't know, Mark, what he did with my pigeon, because I haven't saw it in years, in a couple of weeks. I said, I don't know what Buzz did with a pigeon, because I haven't seen the pigeon in weeks.
Hijack the pigeon.
But does he rest players? Maybe because like this group where this kind of starting 11 has kind of been consistent over the last couple of games. Like with the high intensity marquee plays, like, do you think he might rest players? We might see James McCarthy come into this game. We might see, players being rested.
I don't think James McCarthy coming into the team means anybody's getting rested, Paul.
That's what I'm saying. Like, does he switch? Does he rest players? Like, does he rest like Callum McGregor, or does he rest Wojciech or stuff like that?
Well, I think he might start with McCarthy and even have you him starting Wednesday, the away game. Again, adding that wee bit of kind of steel into the midfield.
I think that's like start McCarthy, Mark, like brings in a more kind of a toughness into that midfield, wouldn't it? Like rather than a defender, he'd be more of a tougher player in there to do the dirty work and let Calmy go shot like into it.
Well, I used to see when McCarthy was at Accies, I used to rave about him still on the Man United side and tell Man United should sign him to replace Roy Keane. Do you know what? Because it was the same, they're similar types of players.
Well, he was the Lord of Roy Keane anyway, Mark, growing up along the Irish setup anyway, and he probably, you know what I mean?
I mean, people going about, oh, Roy Keane, he was just a hatchet man, and like what we say about Scott Brown just sitting in front of the defence and that, but Roy Keane was one of the best all-round midfielders. He really, I know Mikey, you don't like him much, and JFP will pop up with this, but I mean, Roy Keane and Paul Scholes for me were one of the best central midfield partnerships I've seen in my life.
Roy Keane's performance against Juventus will go down in history.
Roy Keane's one of my most favourite players ever, Mark.
I think you liked him, mate.
No, I've got a signed Man United Roy Keane shirt and everything.
Have you?
Yeah.
There, you'll back me up on that then. I think JFP pipes up. But for me, that's what I used to say. McCarthy could have ended up that kind of level, even at that. See if Wigan wasn't the best move for him. Let's not be kidding. But if a team had took a chance on him earlier than Everton did, McCarthy would have been a kind of
top player, Mark. Yeah.
There's a chance we wouldn't even have got him till he was maybe like your 33, 34 age. Do you know what I mean? I mean, see, we talk about, and Mikey says we get the two for £1 million, but it's still some coup to get
It's only 30, like.
James McCarthy
You know what I mean?
transfer.
Like,
a player that's been down there, he's so many games in the Premier League, the experience he's got with Ireland and in the Premier League, and he could be as important a signing as Kyogo or Hart.
Going by what I'm hearing, like Vieira wanted him to stay at Palace, but I think McCarthy himself actually wanted to come to Celtic and play for Celtic. You get that impression? He wanted to be a Celtic player years ago, Mark, didn't he, McCarthy?
Well,
you know?
When he was a young boy, there was all the nonsense with him getting booed.
Yeah, and you said that's why he kind of took the move out that time, wasn't it? Yeah.
He was only a young boy at the time, and facing that every week it was shocking. It really was. But no, I mean, just imagine your mum and dad sitting listening to that kind of thing when you're playing with Accies. Do you know, you're playing with Accies, getting called all sorts of stuff. Not just the usual suspects. It was nearly every away ground in Scotland that it happened. But it was up to his to come to Celtic. And I'm no doubt that he'll be a right good player for us for the next 3-4 years anyway. For me, it's a perfect replacement for Scott Brown. Really,
I'd like to see maybe Montgomery starting on Saturday against St Mirren. Give just because like he's able to play those type games. Mikey, ain't he, Montgomery? Do you know what I mean? Give some youth a chance in these games and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm still of the opinion where because like in other posts, everybody else would have noticed that when we start to get about to the 65, 70 minute mark, that's when you're starting to notice the players are breathing at their arse a wee bit because they're not used to that kind of intensity of play there. So I think, like you say, you've got to try and go with the starting 11 that predominantly is going to be playing like for the foreseeable future till.
And keep the consistency there.
It's not just about the consistency; it's about getting the fitness up to be able to play the way that. And like I said, if you start dropping people all over the shop and giving people a game, well, that's fair enough. But the only way to get that kind of fitness is to actually play the way you're told to play. And on like I think James McCarthy will start over there, just for the simple reason that we have got a 2-0 lead, and like it says, yes, and we'll just basically, like I said, I'll just be a counter attack, will it? The whole game. Yeah. Like I say, when you've got Abada, Forrest and Kyogo as a front three to spring on the counter attack. I mean that like you say, against St Mirren, I don't think there'll be many changes for what we just went and started against AZ.
I think the continuity's got to become a bit of it as well. Trying to keep the same basis of players, keeping them playing see, because it's like so early project kind of thing.
Exactly.
But we've said it before as well. These games against like near St Mirren, because they'll come and they'll try their best. It'll be a hard fought match for like physical kind of match. But again, it's the type of games I've said before that we should be having one or two young players in the team to get them. Again, we expect to win. We don't expect them to get. They can get away with the odd wee mistake and things like that without like a big high pressure game, Mikey. Like you were saying about throwing Ralston in the Champions League and things like that.
Well, I still firmly believe that the kind of games Ralston in his early days excelled. I think that did set him back a fair bit.
Oh,
like you say,
it really must.
But that's going back, Mark, to what you were saying loads of times in the podcast, Mark, that throwing a player in against these big, huge teams and then getting hammered, and then as a young player, your confidence is gone over that one game, like in this, you know.
Paul, look at the way people are talking about Starfelt.
Exactly.
Right, Starfelt's an experienced international player, played in Russia and things like that. Right, really, it'll be what if it comes back to him. But imagine that was Welsh that was making these mistakes. You know,
Yeah.
young player faced Scotland that, his mum and dad's on Facebook, his cousins, everybody knows the Stephen Welsh. Oh, that's Stephen Welsh's cousin. Do you get what I mean? That's when it starts affecting them. Young players that they're seen on Twitter getting called all sorts of names because they made a bad pass or they made a mistake that let in a goal. Players don't learn. They learn from making the mistakes, but they're not going to learn. It's just going to make them more nervous when the crowd's on their back, waiting on them making a next mistake to give them pelters. And Ralston became that type of player. I know what Mikey's saying. It was kind of thrown under the bus in the games, and it was always. For then, Ralston's always been that type of player. Everybody's just kind of
going back to that one game, like in this.
But a bit of a joke, when I mean, no offence to the lad, but he was a kind of joke. Everybody was joking. Well, no, we could always end up with Ralston in the team and things like that. But he's turned it round. Well, fair play to him for doing that. But is it the pressure on the young players and that? A lot of Celtic fans, not just Celtic fans, the smaller teams in Scotland. Well, you'll know that, Mikey, if the Dundee and Dundee United side of things, they kind of rely on their youth projects and give them a bit of leeway more than, didn't they?
like you say, you just need
Teams.
you just need to look at Dundee United, like you say, starting 11. Most of them are Scottish. Like you say, even the fullback that scored against them the other week, Jamie Robson, again through the youth rank. Didn't get us wrong, he's overrated, and I don't think he's very good, but he still scored the winner against them. All like Hibs, notorious for years, even like Aberdeen and stuff.
Motherwell was always full of young players and things like that as well, and they obviously make mistakes as well. But these clubs, is it because they've got like smaller expectations? They maybe allow the players to make mistakes and learn from it. But that's where it comes into these working pathways stuff, working pathways of players into the team. You've got to look at the games and see if.
Exactly, Mark. Where you can use your youth, like, do you know what I mean? Where you can breed them into your first team, like, 'cause that's the only way we're crying out for years. You know what I mean?
If Montgomery starts in front of Taylor, right, that's not going. It would probably maybe a positive effect on the Celtic performance, but you're still expecting Celtic to win that game. Plus, young guy, you experience playing a full game at Celtic Park, winning against players that are, I mean, not players that maybe at his kind of level. Do you get what I mean? He would probably walk into the St Mirren team. So he's players at his level that he can put in a performance is going to shine out. That helps to build his confidence and builds the confidence with the fans and things like that.
Like I say, just going back to like Ralston and especially Roger. What were they saying? Like, what was the murmurings around the stadium yesterday when you were at the game? Like regarding, like you say, like just Ralston and Roger. Like, what were the fans saying? Like during the game and that, is the opinion changed on these guys?
I think the opinion changed a lot, 100%. I think everybody's buzzing with them, just how they've come on, and it's like 2 new signings, isn't it? It's kind of players that looked out the door, and they've come on. They're probably 2 of our best players in the team now. The performances they're putting in, they're kind of making a lot of things happen as well, and it's just the way they've settled into Ange's system too.
I can't believe how good Roger is just now.
He's wee flick for that goal yesterday, where he brought it down and just flicked it round and just took it to the byline and got it in. It was class, man.
It's like the Roger of old. It did like under. I'm going back to back to Ronnie Dyler, because Ronnie Dyler used to play Roderick a lot as well. But we always knew he had the skill, but for whatever reason, managers didn't know how to exploit it or something like that. I don't know. Was that it? Or, did managers not know how to use Roderick, Mikey?
I don't think that, says, and I understand what you're saying, Paul, Roderick went through a brief spell. I think it was Brendan Rodgers as well. He had a couple of no bad games and that, but I don't think in his Hale Celtic career, Roderick has ever played this good.
No, exactly. Yeah.
He actually looks reasonable. Again, and it's just dumbfounding me because
it's the first time I can actually really remember Roderick being fit. This fit.
He looks reasonably quick.
Yeah. Even his movement, he's faster on the ball. He's faster. He's thinking yesterday for that goal, to flick that. That was in an instant. You know what I mean?
Don't get wrong. He'll probably go at half time and smoke his 40 fags a day. Now that's fine. At half time, that's fine. But I mean, he's like a lot of the younger guys won't know, but he's like Robert Prozinecki back in the day. I mean, he used to smoke 20 fags a day at half time as well, but he was still good. Know what I mean?
When Socrates, he was the first player I kind of remember being like that. Just to him.
Yeah, more
the Brazilian minute, aye.
But you
made your time.
Made
your time, Mark.
You're cheeky get.
More about your time, Ken. Robert Prozinecki, he's more like my time, is he?
Couldn't lace Socrates' boots.
No, but like I say, Robert Prozinecki was a known, smoker back in the day. Was he? He even looked like it, but I mean, he didn't play.
A lot of players smoked Larson.
Did he smoke, aye?
Yeah, he smoked there.
There's pictures of Larson sitting smoking and that on the internet.
I know Boric, he was a smoker, wasn't he, after Boric?
Boric is still a smoker, yeah.
Boric was better than a smoker.
I heard that story. He was sitting in the bath in the changing room back in a fag in Celtic Park.
I tell you, the way Boric is playing now for a Ross, you never think he's. Is it Boric to be over about 41, 42 now, I say, Mikey, would he?
Still quality. Says he's. I mean, obviously Joe Hart's the quality goalkeeper, and we've had a couple of good goalies since, but Boric was one of my favourites as a goalkeeper. I think what I liked about Boric, he had the odd mistake in him as any goalkeeper is, but I mean, some of his antics, like he says, even with fighting with Lee Naylor and running on the pitch with flags.
Blessing himself in front of the Rangers fans.
He actually had a general hatred for them, and I think that's a lot of fans, he just, I mean, he wore his heart on his sleeve there.
What the John Paul t-shirt was a belter.
Aye.
Things like that, but I mean, it's all. I mean, that was an old saying. You need it to be half daft to be a goalkeeper. And when you look at I mean, a lot of goalkeepers over the years have been some of the biggest characters in the game. Even look at a flying pig and things like that. No, but I mean, he was still although we hate him, he was still a character as such.
Look at Bruce Gorbler for Liverpool back in the day. What was the man for Colombia, Mark? Higuain.
Rennie Higuita.
Higuita, yeah.
Scorpion kick King Winter.
Yeah.
What's that, Rennie Higuita?
I tried that years ago and I got killed.
Involved in match fixing and stuff like that or something, Mikey.
They always say, Mark, back in that day, sure. Jeez, I said half the footballing world was involved in.
Robler got into trouble for that, I know.
He did, yeah. He got with Zimbabwe. He got pulled for Zimbabwe. Bruce Gorbler back in the day when he was playing for them. He got pulled for that. You know, but he was.
I don't know, like I said, going on goalkeeper. Remember Oliver Kahn back in the day?
Not sure.
Getting more influential than him. He was a maniac.
He was.
He was still one of the best.
He had his house got Monica's dad told me this. His house got raided over in Germany years ago because he was part of the far right, and his house got raided. His house was full with Nazi swastika flags.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me,
Yeah,
so.
Oliver.
And Father Ted, the kind.
Yeah. I heard your racist no father. You can't plead advice, you can't. And then the speck of dirt then on the window, remember that? Jesus, that's it for tonight, Mikey. Anything you want to add before we go?
No, like I says, it was good to, like I says, it's just good, like you say, when I've said it loads of times, to just say some positivity around the place for the first time in 18 months or whatever it is. Like I say, obviously there is all bits and pieces and that, but then people will always find something to be negative about. But like I say, it's just good to see everybody actually smiling for once. So,
John, yourself?
Just everything Mikey says there as well. Quite just every game now. I'm looking forward to it. I've just got a really good buzz about us, and I'm kind of looking forward to obviously the end of the season. I think we're going to clear up this season, and I'm looking forward to playing them in 2 weeks' day. So,
Treble, John.
I'm confident, Mark. I just can the way this is clicking, it's just getting better and better every week, and you can just see it. And as the players get fitter, they're just going to be able to keep doing that for 90 minutes. And I think Paul says it on here a few weeks ago when this clicks. I don't think anybody's going to be able to honour us, and I can see it's going to get that way. And I'm confident. We'll clear up.
Can you see my vision now, Mark?
I don't like your vision, Paul, man. I've listened to enough of your shite without seeing what you're seeing.
You don't want to know, Mark. What we go through my head, right? That's what you go, Jesus Christ. So I thought I was asleep last night and I thought of this player rations in my sleep. That's why I copped onto that. I eat and breathe a fucking podcast of you. But back
fucking files and stuff we done months ago.
Yeah, man.
It's all recorded anyway. It's on the internet forever and ever and ever.
It's just, look, lads, if you see me at work, like, I have one folder for Monday, I have another folder for Tuesday, another folder for Wednesday, Thursday. Different.
I've told him the new right. He sent me a thing the other night, and he writes it down, and it's like a script.
Janet Friendly, yeah?
It's like a script. I'll say this, and then you say it, and I'm not fucking even reading that.
Well, I don't understand. Like, I agree with Mark on that, and I don't understand how you didn't just type a notepad on your PC and just save everything like that, and then just.
No, I have to write it down, but I have to write it down to old school.
It's just like wee bullet points.
Does the podcast go smoothly though when you have everything laid out?
Any schedule that helps a wee bit.
You know, Mark, I suppose the two lads hit it in the head. They did like the whole buzz around the club and to be talking positive about Celtic, and you know, it's just a joy, isn't it?
I'm different. It's night and day, Paul. For even we started doing the podcast, because even we were just, it was just so hard to find. I mean, we all try to be positive about stuff on here, but we've spoke about it. We always try to put a positive spin on things, even. But it was so hard last season at times to even be positive about anything.
Speaking about positive, sorry, Mark. Just speaking about positivity before we go, I just want to hear a big mention for John Kennedy and that, because he's putting in a shift just now in the backroom team.
Definitely.
So, definitely. He's one of the top men behind the scenes just now. Again,
I think
well-deserved role.
Definitely, he's put a lot of effort into his job. Him and Gavin Stratton.
Wait till I see Bison back in the first team. I lay into Kennedy again.
You slag the guy off every turn you go. It was John Kennedy. This is John Kennedy's influence. And now that we're doing well, you're not even giving him any credit. Because
I'm a straight believer that Ange is his own man, and Ange is making these decisions. He saw what Kennedy brought to the table in the Hearts game. He saw what Kennedy told him to do against Midtjylland, put Beeson in the back game, and Ange turned around and he said, what in name God is he telling me putting Beeson into the back line? My God, they're nice.
See all these plans that Ange's got for the team in training, that who's implementing that out in the training pitch?
Ange, because Ange is out there training because he's trying to train Kennedy how to do it.
Oh.
Don't get Mark. I'll have an answer for everything on Kennedy. So don't get me started. Mark, lads, thanks for Mikey and John for coming on again, and thanks to the live chat as always. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Mark will close out the show.
Right, thanks very much, Paul, Mikey and John for coming on. It's great every time you're on, just blethering away. That's what we do. Thanks for everybody in the live chat that joined us. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and if you're technically capable, leave a comment because it helps us to grow on YouTube. God bless. Good night.